Okay, now it's going. We're going to send it.
This is the Southern Collective Hunting Podcast, the underground voice of the Southern hunter. Whether you're watching live, catching it later on YouTube, or listening on the go, we are glad you're here. Let's get after it.
Mr. Reeves, we are back on the mics, dude. I'm thrilled to be back on the podcast audio waves another Thursday night, and I'm gonna just go ahead and say to everybody, the only reason why we're on time tonight is because Mr. Reeves reminded me that it's Thursday in my mind because of the holiday weekend. It was very profoundly Wednesday, so
the
shout out
the
to you, Matt.
holidays mess everything up,
Yeah,
and it gets your whole schedule off whack, and it's like, well, shoot, what do I do this day? And it's tough, but yeah, I'm glad to be back, man. Glad to sit down and talk. We're getting closer and closer to deer season. Whether you're prepping or just thinking about it, I know everybody in Marco Polo's on edge, ready to get going. We've had some kills in our deer contest submitted already, so that's a huge deal. And hopefully, we're going to have some more this weekend with Kentucky opening. We know Parker's going and a couple other guys that are in our group. Actually, some guys are from Kentucky. They're going to be able to start hunting, and I'm ready to kind of hear from them, which we're not going this year. You went early last year, right, Walt?
I did. I went up there. I didn't hunt though. I just scouted.
You,
I
you
went and
just
scouted for
scouted, yeah,
my November hunt I drew.
yeah, and that I mean that was fun. But you felt like you were doing something hunting wise in another state, so that was pretty neat. You did find a big buck on the side of the road, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a big old. It was a 129-inch deer just sitting on the side of the road, and everybody was driving past it. And I'm like, "What are y'all doing?"
That's a state record back home.
He get me on the cover of the magazines back home,
Look,
the farmer actually stopped and talked to me. He's like, "So you're like taking this home?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, this is twice as big as any deer I've ever put my hands on. Like, this
yeah,
is this is a big deal."
this is rare. Well,
Yeah.
Elrod said it this morning in Polo. He was like, "I'm gonna start putting a sawzall in the back of my truck to where
Yes.
I can get the antlers off the deer that lay off on the side of the road in Texas." And some people are probably like, "Why would y'all do that?" Well, they just don't understand. Like they don't understand
Yeah.
what goes through our head.
I don't think they realize the degree in which it is difficult to see a deer that big most anywhere other than like there.
Yeah.
Like it's brutal. But and I'm just gonna give everybody a disclosure. My son has been fighting a stomach bug, which if you have kids, you know that is absolutely the worst. So there's a chance I'm going to have to maybe go in there and just kind of snuggle, not snuggle him, but pet, play with his hair just for a second or two. Matthew, you'll have to hold it down.
I'll hold it down.
But
No problem at all.
Justin
No
says,
problem,
"What up,
sir.
guys? Y'all ready for this season?" I am dying. I am dying. It's going to be 66 degrees for the Georgia opener this year. This will be the second time in a row it's been that cool.
66 degrees, man.
It was
Is that
51.
is that the high or is that the low?
No, God, no, that's the low.
Okay, I'm making sure we've been hitting 69 and 68 degrees here in Alabama the last couple
As
of mornings.
highs?
But like no, it's lows.
Oh, okay.
But there's a constant breeze throughout the day,
Mm-hmm.
and that helps a lot.
Tremendously. Yep.
Mhm.
Green
Helps a
Man
lot.
Dan says, I hope I'm ready. Saturday is up upon us fast. It is getting here quick. And I'm gonna tell you something. If I had
I like that
the
name.
ability, huh?
I like that name,
I
Green
do
Man
too.
Dan.
Yeah.
Let me say it real
he
quick.
he's I guarantee you he works for FWC. That's old Johnny Green Jeans right there. But yeah, if I had the ability, if I was as close to Kentucky as you are, I'd be burning some brownie points right out of the gate, dude. I'd be gone. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, we talk about the season, our prep, and everything, and my season just looks a lot different this year. I'm trying to put some other things at top priority rather than deer
Mm-hmm.
hunting. One being my job, and so trying to set a good foundation for that for years to follow, to where to where hopefully I can be freed up a little bit more down the road. So putting in the legwork right now, and it's going to allow me to hunt a lot more around home too. So I'm okay with
Absolutely.
that.
I think both of you and I kind of have similar plans in that regards. Kind of swing for the fences when we leave because you and I both changed careers this year.
Uh huh.
Didn't have that in my bingo card in January.
Yep.
But it kind of leaves you in a spot. Now I will say this: before I was offered the position. I had already prepared to tell him. I planned my entire fallout, dude. I was like,
Yeah.
this week in November I'm taking off. These days in December I'm taking off. These days in January and February I'm taking off. And I got to give them credit. I sent them that list, and they didn't. They just said, okay, like
Fine. We want you.
bet, yeah,
That's comforting for sure.
yeah,
Because I mean, you look at a job change. Say you were pretty comfortable where you were. You got your remote days, you got your scheduled off days, and everything, and then you're gonna totally pick up ship and go somewhere else. That's a big risk because you know yes, it's you're providing for your family, but also you're able to do what you enjoy. Well,
hmm
let's say you change that and you're back to square one on building vacation. That's a lot of people don't leave their jobs, but just because they're going to lose their vacation. Um, but it's all good. What's
Green
everybody
Man Dan
saying?
says he put in new plots. They have not sprouted and some have not sprouted due to no rain, but now the rain is back. So, yep, it's time to get out there. I was watching somebody was on Instagram the other day talking about how they were like, I'm not going to plant my plots this weekend because it ain't been raining. And so I didn't plant them, and then they're on their front porch and they're like, and they just
Right.
pivot and it's just pouring down rain behind them. They're like, "Dad gum." So
Yep.
I don't miss those
I
days.
I planted a couple plots last year and I dealt with the no rain deal. And it seems
hmm
like every year that's what I mean. This is when drought hits, and it's so frustrating to because when I'm planting greenfields, I could be hunting somewhere else. That's just kind of how our seasons lay. If you're a travel deer hunter, um, but I'm not planting any this year. Um, it sounds like a bunch of people are trying to get the recurve out too. Between him and Justin, they're both trying to
God bless them. They can have
recurve
it.
it up. I'd like to try it, but I know with my luck, as soon as I take a recurve out there,
hmm
150 is gonna step out at 35 yards, and I can't do anything. Heck, he could step out at 15 yards, and I'd miss him.
Yeah.
That's just gonna that's my luck, and then I would never take a recurve into the woods ever
Yeah.
again. It
Sawbriar.
doesn't
I think
matter
it's
if it's a doe hole or anything. It
yeah.
like
It'd ruin you.
the big buck's gonna come in.
I think it's is it Brian something? He's in Alabama. His name's like Sawbriar Outdoors or something. He was hunting somewhere not too long back, and he's a big recurve guy, and he's got like a hard stop at like 20 yards. He will not shoot
Yeah,
one at 20 and a half. He stops right at 20. And there was a monster buck at like 24 yards, and he's just sitting there shaking, like begging for this deer to turn. What to us is like 3 feet. It's not really, but like for
yeah.
us in a compound, it's like you put the 20-yard pin on him, and it's the arrow's going to drop. He's going to drop with it. And it's going to smack him dead center. Like.
Hmm.
And I'm just sitting there like this right here. I would have broke that recurve on the side of that daggone pine tree before I took it back out in the woods.
Yeah, it's like bow hunting during gun season too. I've had that get me. I used to be die hard bow hunter,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't pick up a gun and lost a lot of opportunities at deer. But hey, that's what it's about. I'm not really turning back to it too bad.
Can, can I share something with you? I shouldn't say out
Yeah,
loud. It's starting to creep back for me.
yeah.
It's starting to creep back
Well,
in.
you're,
Like
you're
the
Mr.
idea
Bow.
of
You're Mr. Bow Tech now. You shoot a bow tech. You are a bow tech. You know everything about bows. And like, dude,
I've
I
got two
mean,
Bowtechs over my shoulder right here that I've been fondling for like the last 20 minutes.
now you have learned a lot on the bow
Yeah.
front of it, and man, it is a lot of fun. Like
hmm
hunting bow only versus hunting bow and gun. Like you kind of have to change your whole strategy. Just because when I start hunting with a gun, I tend to start hunting more open, and
hmm
that's anybody that hey, I have a long range rifle. I want to shoot a long ways. Well, that's gonna hurt you in a lot of instances. But the places we hunt, like some of the thick stuff you have, Walt, you're not shooting 40 yards with a gun. So what I mean, busting brush is really the only
Mm-hmm.
benefit of having a gun. But
Yeah.
you know, we'll all slap you on the hand though if you try to go bow only.
I'm not gonna go bow only, but I might use it a lot more this year. It's one of those things where it's like I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about Velvet Bucks, guys. So we're building on. This is actually going to be an opening day episode, even though it's on a Thursday night. See, this is okay. Hold on. I said we're getting away from it, but right here, look, I'm 0-3 from last season. It's a whole new animal. See, if I miss 3 deer, I'm going to lose my gourd. I barely get a chance
Yeah.
to pull the trigger 3 times in a year.
Yep. Man.
But this is gonna be an open day episode that you guys get to interact with, which is always a blast. I love seeing the comments. If you're listening to this after the episode, Thursday nights 8:30 Eastern, most nights we're gonna go live. It's deer season, so if it's a good day to go hunting, I might not be back here, but
Yep. Live from the stand.
live from the stand. That's right.
They're on the
You're
track.
not wrong. That's right. But we're talking opening day, guys, and so this is tactics that pertain to that magical little window when deer are doing really stupid stuff. And it's funny, Matt, because the more I talk about this episode, the more I record these, the more I realize that there's like these 2 magical windows where big bucks are doing stupid things. It's right now, and it's the rut. And these are 2 really unique opportunities to capitalize different ways, different means. But when you look at the stone cold killers like yourself, like Dakota Cantrell or Cody D'Acquisto, these guys, there are a lot of guys who get on velvet bucks really early or those first 2 weeks of season, and they manage to capitalize on some really big deer. And so I'm kind of juiced about this because to me, growing up in the deep South, bow season was when you shot does and spikes, getting ready for rifle season when you hope to kill a buck. And I think that mindset's starting to change.
Yeah, and it's got to change because you've heard for so many years the October lull or anything early season. Like people have become so mobile now that you can kill a deer at any point of the season. Like we all love the rut hunt. I mean, majority of the time that's when the bucks are going to act stupid. You can just hunt wherever sometimes, and you have very high odds of killing a deer. But now, with early season tactics and everything in between, we're able to. What just happened?
You're still there?
Yeah, but my whole screen just went away.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
I can see you. Everything's normal.
Well, that is weird. But anyways, I'll just keep talking, I guess,
Yeah.
since it's acting funny. But what we see is even in the early season, the bucks are on their feet. They're doing something. You've just got to be willing to learn what they are doing to then apply that and know where to go next with the deer. And so today. We in the comments we're seeing a lot of people getting ready for the opener for Kentucky, which is this Saturday. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Is hunting, early season velvet bucks, whether it be in Kentucky, which the story and kind of the scenario that we're going to talk about tonight is based out of Kentucky. But we are going to kind of break it down on how you can implement this in other states as well and other early season opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is an excellent opportunity to get some scouting done for come November. It's a great opportunity to isolate some food sources that when you hit that, like if we're using the traditional rut calendar, right? Not the Alabama or Florida rut calendar where everything. Oh, did we lose you? Nope, you're back.
We're good. Yeah, I was trying to get my good camera working.
Yeah. You're fine, man. I think this is an interesting way of really utilizing a window that I think a lot of people kind of throw away. You said that October lull period. Paul says, "I'm happy the team captain is going to win the contest." Is on tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I
Matt,
wish.
so You shot a tremendous deer a couple years back, and to your credit, you do a great job of hyper focusing on a couple pieces of property, and I can't do that very easily. It's killing me right now. Like I've made all kinds of promises this summer that I'm on the verge of breaking right now
Yeah.
by hunting Georgia, right? Um, but kind of going into this, like you've done several velvet hunts before you went out here on this time period. Kind of talk to me about how you prepare for this early season. What's unique for your prep?
Yeah, so, and I'm just going to go back to the start. I mean, I've hunted Alabama for ever since I could hunt, and we recently just started having an opener that was October 1st. Wasn't haven't been very successful in Alabama in the big woods. October 1st just hasn't been in my playing cards, but I had the opportunity to go hunt Kentucky. Parker asked me to come up with him 4 years ago, I think. And so we went up, and when you think of Kentucky and you're going to kind of a destination deer state, you're like, man, I'm going to tag out like second day. And this is, I'm going to go set up on the edge of a cornfield, bean field, and I'm going to kill, and it's going to be awesome. It is far from that. And so I learned that going in. I mean, I had I would say a really good first trip up there to kind of learn this spot. Saw bucks. Uh, I saw deer every hunt, but I only saw a buck in like the last evening or evening before last, and kind of started understanding what was happening. But it the place we were hunting, there were so many deer, but yet you couldn't pinch them down. Like they just would go in a hole. They would just disappear. So we left with our tails tucked and kind of, was down about it. But the next year I said, I'm going to go up and scout. So I went up in July and went with my buddy Andrew, and we put out a bunch of cameras, cell cameras, non-cells, everything. Well, all summer we were getting pictures of deer and had a couple really nice deer that we were looking at. But everything kind of dried up right there at the beginning of the season. And so when I tell y'all we ran cameras through the summer. What did we put those cameras on? Was it water sources, food sources? We put them on kind of a wide array of things. Put them on a persimmon patch, put them on bean fields. I put one in an awesome spot. I called it the Buck Cave, and when I found it, there was buck poop everywhere. And if you are listening, you're part of our polo group, y'all know the saying, it's turds don't lie. And so I was like, man, there's deer here. Like there are big bucks, or there is a group of bucks in here. And I put a camera on it. You know how many pictures of deer I got on it? Zero. None. Not a single deer. And I mean it like I brought everybody because I wanted everybody to see it. It was a cool spot by a creek. I was like, this is where these deer are living. I didn't get a single deer on camera. So about the time you think you know what a bachelor group of bucks is going to do, they do the complete opposite, right? But anyways, I'm looking at maps. Well, the last day that we were scouting, we went by this road. I was like, Andrew, let's just pull over right out here. We had seen a buck in a field, and we start walking down this road. And as we're walking down it to go check these beans, like 4 bucks come out of the woods and just start walking the road away from us. And I mean like biggins. And so we stop, we watch them, kind of wig out about it. Well, we'd already put all of our cameras out, and we were leaving the next morning. So we just kind of, you put it in the back of your head, hey, if the cameras don't work out, we know that these deer are crossing right here. So as summer progressed, we had some deer, whatever. Well, I had a spot A that I was really excited about, and I was going to hunt it. All my other cameras, nothing consistent enough to really hunt. Well, when you hear of early season hunting, when do you typically want to hunt? What would you say would be like the prime time that majority of people are going to say you hunt?
Early season?
Yeah.
Opening day?
Yeah, but what part of the day?
Oh, afternoon.
Yeah, afternoons. Afternoons
Yeah.
is like, hey,
Yeah.
you do not hunt the mornings. You wait till like the last 3 hours. You sneak in your stand, and you sit there for a short amount of time because it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get hot, And so, when you go out of state, are you just gonna like? I'm 5-6 hours away from home. Am I just gonna hunt evenings?
Mm-hmm.
No, because
No.
like I'm there. I'm there for a 3-day hunt. That would
Mm-hmm.
only mean I have 3 hunts. If I can have 6 hunts where I'm in the woods learning something, that's what I'm going to do. So we decided to come up the day before the opener. We got off work a little early, went up there, and so I was like, well, everything kind of fell apart. I'm gonna go look where these bucks were that I saw on the last day we were scouting. So I get in there, looking around, see a buck, and what's funny is the buck I see, my buddy later he shoots it um, on that next Sunday afternoon. So I see that deer, and then right at dusk, I'm walking out, and I was like, I got to go look at this last bean field. So I, kind of trot down the road, go to this bean field, and I see 3 deer out there, and I'm like, man, that one's got a big old body. And then I saw him lift his head up, and he had just a big old frame. I was like, okay, that's a good buck. Like, they're in this bean field. It's gonna be a full moon tomorrow. Like, I may have a chance of killing this deer going back to his bed. So, if I have to hunt him to go back to his bed, what does that mean? I have to hunt him in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going against everything everybody preaches and everybody says. I'm gonna go do that. So I get a game plan. I think I talked to Parker and I sent it to y'all, kind of what was going on, and said, okay, here we go. So I end up going, and guys, if y'all can, when you're walking in, typically these deer are still feeding, especially early season. So that morning I walked in without a headlamp on until I got like deep in the woods. Like I knew these deer were still in these bean fields. I walked a mile with no headlamp. If you're afraid of the dark, get over it, because I'd rather kill a big buck than being afraid of the dark. So I get in there. Well, it was one of those cluster mornings. You know how an opening day goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything that you thought you had prepared for, just gone. Like, you climb a tree 2-3 times, walk a circle, get scent everywhere. But I get up a tree, I'm sitting there, and while I was up there in the pitch black dark, I had a deer come under me. So, like, I knew this is kind of the way these deer were funneling. And I don't want to give too much away about the spot, but kind of to tell y'all, like, what I was setting up on, it was basically I was getting between where they were feeding through the night and in the middle of that and their bedding area. So I was trying to cut them off, And so with the full moon and with the time of the moon, the overhead and the overfoot, the moon was going to be overfoot at, I think it was like 6:30. And so that was right, that's right at first light, in that time frame, or a little after. So I sit there, and I just caught a flicker of a deer coming down one of the ridges, and comes down, and there's 3 of them. And so we've got a video of it on YouTube too. If y'all haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. But I'm trying to mess with the camera, and it gets hung up in my saddle. And Walt, the rookie me would have said, I got to get this deer on camera.
Uh-huh.
But I have screwed up so many hunts that I said, forget the camera. I am shooting this deer. So, I just forgot it, and I drew back, and he walked right at to 12 yards, and I gave him the old Matt and shot him. He ran off. I heard him crash, took my time, and man, it was one of those surreal moments, because we always talk about killing a big velvet buck. I didn't know how big this deer was. I just knew he was going to be my best deer, and he had a big frame on him. Like, I was really excited about it, but I got all my buddies. We tracked him. We ended up finding him, and he's a big 8-point with a drop time. And I couldn't have drawn that up any better. I didn't know that deer was a drop time deer. I didn't know he was a 130-inch deer. Like, I didn't know these things. But I knew that he was a good enough deer to try to put a plan on to get him. But I want to take a couple steps back, and kind of talk about the whole scouting, for early season hunt. Even though
Mm-hmm.
your scouting may not seem like it's paying off during the early season, it pays off later in the season. What is that always us?
Andrew only always comes on here and chooses violence, man.
I
Andrew
love it,
says Paul
Andrew.
McClure. I'm happy to have. Basically saying he's happy to have Matt on the podcast. He said it's always nice to have Walt on the podcast with Matt. So yeah, glad I could be here for you, Andrew.
That's funny. But, you know, back to the scouting thing. Like right now, and this is kind of a wide view of scouting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I tell this to my buddies. Like, yeah, it's nice to get pictures of deer on camera right now, but is that really doing us any good? I mean, honestly, is it doing us any good? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on the deer, right?
And I think
Um,
where to. I think where to. If
yeah,
you have
it
dynamic food sources, maybe it matters more than big
well,
woods or something.
it's like my private land.
Mm-hmm.
These deer that are on the private land right now, they're going to be on that private land come October, November, December,
Mm-hmm.
January. They're going to be there throughout the whole season. But like for public, like I've got some spots right now that I put cameras out that I know the deer aren't going to be there right now. But I put them out there because I had the time to get it out there right now, and I'm waiting for that switch. And you hear people talk about the switch all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to really tell when the switch is. Some people say velvet, some people say acorns, some people say pre-rut. A lot of different things. First cold front, a lot of different switches. But scout is if not that you're hunting today, but scout is if you're when you're going to hunt that spot.
Mm-hmm.
If you're scouting for a rut spot, scout for funnels, old sign. We were talking on a podcast a while back. I used to not pay attention to old rubs. Like I was just like, that's old. It's
Mm-hmm.
irrelevant. It's not. It tells a story. Um, and then y'all will hear I'm a big scrape guy. Well, you've ever since you've met me, I've always talked about scrapes. Like
Yep.
if you can find a scrape in the woods, open the sucker up, and those deer are gonna keep coming to it. Like that's just they use it all year, especially a licking branch. But for for Kentucky in this particular hunt, I didn't find any scrapes to open up. I was just putting it on food sources, and so those food sources, such as persimmons, which I think persimmons. This is my personal opinion. I think they're overhyped. I think people make a bigger deal of a persimmon than what it really is. And
Why
I'm
is that?
in it. Man, I just haven't seen the deer hit the persimmons like you would think they would hit it. Like just big bucks hitting persimmon trees. I don't see that. Like that's my take. Some people see it, but I mean I see does hit the persimmons. But it's just I don't know. I think there's other. I think they've been conditioned over the years, like they have so many other food sources they can hit rather than the 10 persimmon trees in a 100-acre block. I just think they're overrated. Like, yeah, has it been a dream of mine to kill a buck on a persimmon tree? Yeah, because that's what everybody says. Find a persimmon tree,
Mm-hmm.
you can kill a buck. But it typically doesn't happen. So okay, last year for Kentucky, I went early October. Still early season. I'm not going to say it's an opening day kind of deal, but still early season. I was on a persimmon tree that was raining. There was scrapes all around it. There was rubs all around it. Did I see any bucks? No. Did I see any does? One. So it's just it's kind of like when you go fishing and somebody tells you to throw a certain lure and you
Mm-hmm.
throw it and you can't catch anything on it, but everybody else is catching something on it. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the situation for me on persimmons.
Can I give you a theory about
So
persimmons?
hit me with it.
Twofold. One, if you're in an area with persimmons plural, like they don't matter. near
Yeah.
as much as people say they are. Like if there's multiple persimmons in the area, they don't matter. What I can tell you is I've gotten some really great bucks on camera early season.
4 points don't count, Walt.
Five. The buck I killed last year was headed to a persimmon tree.
God, man.
Yeah, I've got nice racked bucks. Really like I think deer that the vast majority of deer hunters on public land would hunt, but they're in areas where there just aren't persimmons. And so you find a couple persimmons along a slough, and it's like the only persimmons in that area. And to me, I look at that, and there's also no ag in the area. There's no beans in the area. There's no like, a bunch of green browse because it's late season. And I think it's just different. It's kind of like a cranberry on top of a salad from Chick-fil-A. It just stands out
Yeah.
a little bit different in that palette. But I think you go up to where you guys are, and I think there's more persimmons up there than people give credit. It's a little bit harder of a tree to identify because the bark doesn't just like jump out at you like a shagbark hickory or a white oak, right? And I just don't think they matter quite as much up there.
Yeah, and I'm gonna throw a little knowledge bone out there on the
Yeah.
persimmons in the big woods. We talked about it. I've tried to do some videos on identifying them, and they can be hard to identify, especially when you can't see the fruits on them. But what you're dealing with a lot of the times, if y'all like think about where all you found persimmon trees, like where they typically grow. They typically grow on edges, whether it's a swamp edge, a field edge. That's just where they grow. And so when they're in that environment, they're able to get sunlight from one side. Say it's a east edge, and they're able to get sun from the west. Whatever side they're getting sunlight. Well, when you're in these big wood settings, unless you're in a river bottom, you're not going to find many fruit bearing trees in the mountains. That's just not a region that the persimmons run. But some of the places you do find them, are in old cuts, like a select cut. They're able to produce soft mass at that point because sunlight is hitting the tree and they're able to grow. Um, so that if you're wondering why you may not have them or where they may be, that could give you an idea of it.
Bart just said something I think is very interesting. He thinks the pH level of the soil may impact it. That makes a lot of sense when it comes to growing fruit bushes, blueberries and stuff like that, or even citrus trees. The pH of the soil impacts what it tastes like. So that very well could be it, Bart. I don't know. Adam says, "Hey, it's good to see you. Persimmon trees are weird. Certain spots and certain trees produce better. I'd say the same for oaks. We just get too excited when we find one random tree in the timber." I agree. I mean, if I had a dime for every time I
That's
walked
good,
past an
Adam.
oak tree with a pile of dadgum acorns underneath it and they've never eaten it, water oaks are specifically like this. There are some water oaks deer just will not touch, and I've never understood why. There'll be a blanket of acorns underneath them.
Yep. It, and that's another thing for like early season, like the deer, if they're not, let's say you don't have ag and you don't have acorns dropping, what do you do? What is the plan? I'm gonna go scouting in the morning, and my plan is to find trails in woody browse and fresh vegetation. That's my plan tomorrow. If I find and also in that plan, I'm gonna look for a persimmon tree because that's still a dream of mine. It may never happen, but I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look for one for the heck of it. And Walt, I just got thinking. I had a persimmon tree on private one time that I put a camera on, but it was all nighttime activity. But it did have some pretty good bucks on it. But it just has never been in my cards. I don't know why, but early season here in Alabama, finding the food source. Whether it's water. We're in a drought right now. Water probably is not a bad idea come October 1st if you can find an area where they're hitting. So, many different things you can look at. But Walt, I want to ask you, when you, so Like you were going to Kentucky early season for the opener this weekend. What would your game plan be?
Ooh, um, like let's say like anything's possible. I can like design my best hunt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just what you would love to have.
Yeah,
You
I'd
better
like
not say a persimmon tree.
I was too, just to be funny. I was gonna say a bean field where the shade starts and the way back early, and there's a persimmon tree dropping in that back corner. Um, I watched a Nightingale video when I was a kid, and that's exactly how he killed a beautiful like 8-point buck. Was he's like,
Yeah,
we're going to the backside of this field. There's a persimmon that's really hot, and he set up in the climb, and then here come the deer. They walked right out, and it's probably a high fence ranch or something. I don't know, but
right.
I think what I would love is 3 scout days. I know that sounds really greedy, but I would love 3 days to watch a field. And probably what I would do is try and find the most isolated field I could where I could work the perimeter either via water access or without blowing out a bunch of deer. So some kind of terrain feature that allows me to feel like the deer's movement patterns are a little more predictable. And I'd probably watch that thing day and night until I saw some kind of pattern. Oh, they're coming out of this little corner. And then I'd probably spend the middle of those days trying to walking back there where I don't feel like I'm going to be messing those deer up because they're going to be out in the beans or wherever they are. And I'm going to try and find their approach to and from. I think for me, if I could find some kind of water access or big creek bottom or drain system that I could slip down into, I think in those situations, I'd really prefer to hunt mornings. To be completely honest with you, catch them coming to and from, and not feel like I silhouette myself going back there.
Yeah. And well, I mean, I really like that you said you'd like to have 3 days to watch these deer. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think people, especially on their first trip, they think they can go up there and do it blind. You
Mm-hmm.
can. It is very possible to do it, but the likelihood of it is very slim. So, like you know that, hey, I need to put some time into this in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we get so excited about opening day, and like this goes for all of us. Like we're so like tweaking out that to go hunting that we forget the simple stuff. And so scouting and knowing what the deer are doing is probably the most obvious thing we can lean on.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you give yourself 3 days, one, you're going to be able to figure them out a little bit more. Let's say, okay, let's say for the average guy, you just have one day. You're going to be able to see some information. You're going to kind of be able to get the craziness off of you just a little bit by going in the woods, knowing you're getting ready to hunt, and you're able to be more calm and be ready to execute like a surgeon to kill this deer. And that's kind of like the deer that I killed. Like I I knew where he was heading. Like I knew where he was wanting to go back to. I just had to roll the dice and get between him. And I found a pinch, and that's where he came. And so I was able to get in there quiet and clean. They have not seen people at this point with hunting pressure. Like this is the time where that really old deer, you can catch him sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked to a lot of people like back in the I think the Kill Switch series when Drake Dearman was on here. We talked about him hunting a mountain buck on the first time in Alabama that it opened in September. He went in and was like a surgeon. Went right exactly where he knew he did. Got up, came out of his bed, got him, done deal. And that's not out of just luck of being in a good state or a good area. That was all due to preparation, that he knew
Mm-hmm.
where he needed to be and when he needed to be there. And so that's what, you can see from building history with a spot, just like this Kentucky story. I kind of knew where the deer tended to be. I knew where people typically didn't hunt. And for the place we hunt, it's highly pressured. Like, there's people everywhere out there. You know how many people were parked where I hunted that morning?
How many?
Zero. There was
Really?
nobody. Yeah, not a soul. And so, which I mean, I got dropped off at 4:30 or 4 o'clock, and when I came out, there was nobody there. When my buddies came to help me track, there was nobody there. And so that's like, what? Why that? It was because it was a
Mm-hmm.
place nobody thought about hunting, and that's typically where those deer are going to be. It was not a highly desired spot,
Mm-hmm.
and especially for a morning hunt. Most people that go to that hunt, they hunt the evenings. If you go out there at 2 o'clock, there's going to be somebody at about every park. Because I didn't go last year, but I went. I went up there in October, and every gate I went to in the evening was covered up with people. I couldn't find a spot. I ended up just like I felt like I was walking in circles at one point. Um, what Elrod said, "Who's killing velvet bugs?"
Yeah. It's funny you said unconventional areas. Cody said check the hayfields, and Green Man just said the same thing. Hayfields have been cut for a week where the grass is coming back in tender. He's saying he's seeing no deer out in the beans. That's what I was trying to describe when I said the ideal spot I'm looking for. I'm looking for some kind of like unconventional habitat that maybe doesn't attract people because it's not as pretty. When we were in Kentucky, I can tell you this right now. There was a line of trucks on the road watching the bean fields. And it's like, and everybody's like bristled up next to each other. And it's like they're all fighting over the same like patch of woods. And I would go 75 yards further down the road and there were no more trucks. And when I walked back in there, I was busting deer everywhere. And it's like, yeah, you're sitting on that field because it's easy. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, you go hunt the field edge. I'm going to have you push these deer right back up this
Yeah.
ridge line to me.
Well, we've been conditioned to hunt field edges because of all the TV shows we grew up watching. I mean, me and you just told on ourselves about the ideal hunts and dream hunts we'd like to have, and it was all private land, corn fed, probably when corn wasn't legal hunts, and now we're seeing more of how to adapt to the deer rather than the deer adapting to us. And we talked about it, and people talk about the overlooked spots.
Mm-hmm.
Most people think an overlooked spot is something right beside the road. That is not true. There are more spots than spots beside the road that are overlooked, and it's typically, like we've been talking about, undesirable areas. Um, there was. I don't want to give away too much right here, but I'm going to give away a little bit. The area that I was in, there was something there that stood out, and you wouldn't want to hunt near it.
It
And
was me.
so, yeah, it was like three hunters in a tree. No, it was there was something there. I don't want to say what it is because knowing today's age, people could find it and figure out where I was. Um, but there was something there that would make people want to stay away. Um, and I think that had something to do with it. Yeah, I do. Uh, so we'll. I just saw a comment that caught my eye.
Which
Click
one was
on
that?
Travis's comment.
Yeah.
Travis. Jacob McCurry, I'd have to agree with you. Where did
I thought I
was that
saw
in the
one that
last
he was.
part?
I think no. I think it's not doing a great job of aggregating everything. Give me a second. I'm gonna go over to yeah, because it's bouncing all over the place right now for me. I think Jacob McCurry said that he had vines, muscadine vines in his backyard, pouring right now, and the deer were all over it, and that's what he's responding to.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Jonah says smart, not saying what was undesirable about that spot.
Jonah's on it again. What's up, man?
Uh,
Um. Okay, so muscadines. I don't see many deer eat them.
really?
Yeah, I just don't.
Sweet Jesus, they love them in Florida.
I don't know what it is. I just don't. I don't see it.
I don't. I mean, all I can tell you is that it's one of my favorite things. If I can find like a field edge, if you think about the area that you and I talk about all the time, the place I'm
Yeah.
hyperfixating, on
Uh
those
huh.
edges of cuts where all that sunlight is suddenly hitting and it all grows up, they will be laying in that, just picking them off and eating themselves sick. There'll be deer tracks everywhere. It's wild.
I, I think I don't see it much because we don't have like groves like that, like a big swath of them. It's typically just ground runners. Where
Here's
we're
what
at
Jacob said. He
in
said,
the
"No,
mountains.
I said I saw him 10-1 over persimmons. I guess using muscadines."
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the same thing on what I was talking about fishing. I caught 10 on a Cinco deer, one on a Texas rig.
Mm-hmm.
It just whatever works for you, man. I mean, everybody's in different regions. Everybody, sees different things, and I think Kyle was saying this on the pod or on the polo the other day. We were talking about early season stuff, and it was, hey, I saw the deer. This person, 20, 20, 30 miles down the road, saw deer doing X.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then in my mind, I'm like, well, I need to go try to implement what that deer was doing for me in this region. So you're in two different regions trying to do the same thing when the deer are on a totally different cycle than what you think. And it's, I don't know, man. It can get frustrating. It can really get in your head and mess with you. But you have to know your area, and that's with the early season Kentucky and this year with Alabama. I know my area a lot more this year.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot more scouting this year than I have. So hopefully I get to reap the reward from that, or at least have some cool encounters. So preparation is a lot, but also knowing what you're doing, where you're at. That's huge as well.
Landon's got it right here, and this
Landon.
is something that triggers Elrod a lot. Is we always tell people it's so subjective. Like there's no 1 + 1 = 2. It's this weird one
Yeah.
plus one equals three. It's just it's so unique to the circumstance. You go, I feel like you have to have this big playbook of plays and this big playbook of knowledge, and then you just have to almost forget it's there until you find something that's actionable, and then go back and be like, okay, how does this fit into it, right? Because if you do the opposite and you're like, okay, hot feed trees in October, this is how I want to kill deer. You may or may not, and you might walk past a lot of
Well,
killable sign. You know,
well, if you're hunting in a pine thicket, you're not gonna have a feed tree.
that's right. That's right.
So I mean, you gonna stay at home? I
Yeah.
don't have feed tree, man. That's what you're supposed to hunt in early season. I guess I
Right.
can't go. I gotta wait.
Yep.
Come on, like,
Yeah.
and there's people that will do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I
Jake's
think
right on.
yeah, Booth, when Booth speaks, you listen. You just sit there and take notes. That dude will never give you bad advice. Jake, I hope your shoulder's doing no neck. I hope your neck's doing good. He had a herniated disc or something, man. He's struggling to
I
even draw
knew.
his bow back this year.
I know. Hopefully you get that worked out.
Luke says
But
go
it's
Cowboys, Matthew. Are you a Cowboys fan?
yeah. No, I'm not. Luke's a big
Okay.
Cowboys fan
Oh,
though.
okay.
Yeah, he's a big Cowboys fan. He also, and this will get you. He's a proud Auburn fan, and he's flaunting that now they have 9 national championships because they claimed like 6 of them, even though they didn't win
Yeah.
anything.
They share like 6 of those with somebody, I think is what I remember.
Yeah, I think USC one year got theirs taken away, so Auburn came in. Well, that's mine.
Yeah,
Whatever. I'm an
they
Auburn
didn't
grad, so
they didn't start claiming those until evil Nick Saban was gone, and then suddenly they're bold enough to start speaking on the national stage again too.
oh, what Adam
Yeah,
say? The pine trees around me drop yellow acorns. I like it.
and the
I
best
like
part
that.
about those American feed trees is that they are indifferent to rain. You are not contingent on rain to have a good crop. It just
No,
somehow manages to work out. So Jake Booth
you
says he's
can
getting
make it rain
surgery in a few
yourself.
weeks. So dude, pulling for you, man. I hope
Dadgummit.
you're back in time for our Patreon hunt. So. In case anybody was wondering, yes, we are hosting a Patreon hunt this year. I'm not going to give any of y'all the details. Everything will be posted in Patreon. If you don't know about Patreon, if you don't know about a digital deer camp, it's a web-based community, an old school deer forum, and a video chat app where you can connect with like-minded hunters, and we host two hunt camps a year. One deer, one turkey. We've already announced where the deer location will be. It'll interfere with absolutely nobody's regularly scheduled programming. So if you're interested in that, definitely join the Digital Deer Camp. There'll be a link somewhere. This isn't well, if this is a podcast, look in the show notes. Otherwise, you can just go to Patreon/SoCo Hunt, patreon.com/SoCo Hunt, and you can join there. In fact, I'll put this in the comments for you guys. But Matthew, I wanted to say something. I think that what you just said was the best advice ever, and I kind of distracted you. You said that people go into it with the mindset that they can just show up and go, and you're so right. It's like this. It's like these out of state trips to extend a season or to hit a rut before your home rut. People kind of treat them like, if you'll allow a big word, an accoutrement, kind of like an accessory, like this. I
Speaking
know.
Spanish.
I know. I've been big into coffee cake here
Accoutrement.
lately. It's French, but they treat it like it's an accessory, like it's just this thing that you can go off and do. And I think last year I took a different approach for my November hunt, and I took that trip up there to go scout. Right, it cost me
Yeah.
time. It cost me an early velvet hunt. I feel like it definitely changed like my confidence level going into that hunt. In fact, the weeks before then, I felt really good about it, and the weather I think really screwed me in a lot of ways, and then I made a bunch of mistakes. But you have to invest in these things for a couple hunts. And whether that's like you go up year one and you learn it, and then you come back year two and you're successful, or you go up and you scout for a couple days and then you hunt. Like it takes that effort to truly feel confident you're going to get it done, because otherwise you're dealing with chaos. Who wants to be scouting midday when everybody else is in the woods? You don't know if you can go
Yeah.
in there. There's trucks to compete with. Like it just that doesn't inspire confidence. And if you pull up to a gate you're really excited about and there's three other trucks there, you don't want to mess them up.
Yeah. And I mean, like our Patreon hunt last year, the first day that we could have hunted, scouted. You know, that's all I did. I walked around and I scouted. I try to make the most of the time I have, because in reality, yeah, you can scout your way into a spot and you can figure things out. But if you really know how the lay of the land is, it helps so much more. Now, you know, we have all of our different mapping apps that we use now, and they all have their own, you know, special thing. But there's there's so many tools now, and I'd probably run this into the ground. There's so many tools that you can drop a pin where a deer is going to walk. Like that's you can do it. Um, but there's nothing like seeing the areas, being able to define and hone in where the deer is going to cross. You know, like you could be within 100 yards of its crossing on a map, but like if you go there in person, you can see the tracks. Are they big tracks? No, they're not. You move to the next one. Okay, there's big tracks here. I know this is where I need to hunt. It's going to be a south wind. I need to come in from this direction, and you're able to play this in your head while you're in the woods. And it's just like we were talking about with thermals, knowing what thermals are going to do early season. They act a lot different in the early season than they do in the late season, because you have leaf cover, your temperatures are different, and your wind is never consistent. So, you know, going in there before season and figuring these things out, like the last spot I went to, I was dumping milkweed while I was scouting. You know, I used to think that was a waste because we don't have milkweed around here, and I don't have just a ton of it, you know. But that's going to help me with my access, you know, early in the morning to know what those thermals are doing, knowing what time. Say I'm in there at 10 o'clock and the sun's hitting it, and I can see that the thermals start rising in that spot at 9 o'clock. I can understand that, hey, it's probably more beneficial for me to get in here after daylight than it is for me to get in here in the dark when my thermals are going to be dumping into this bottom where this deer is probably going to come from. Why don't I wait till the thermals start rising and I can move in there? So, you know, that was really just a long loop to see how scouting in the early season can help you for the entire season, not just for the early season, but for the entire season. Now, it definitely can help you for the early season, but like for me right now, well, I sent y'all some pictures yesterday of some really good bucks that I had show up on camera. Yeah, that's exciting, but like I'm not over here going, that's where I'm hunting opening morning, because I got one picture in September of a buck in daylight. That's where I'm gonna hunt. No, that's not how you those deer mean nothing to me right now. Like, I know they're in the area, they're gonna be in the area, and I have history with one of the bucks. Like, I know he lives there, but it lets me know he's there. I can get a better game plan of how to hunt him. And so I'm on my
Mm-hmm.
third year of hunting this deer, and I've figured out where he lives. So hopefully, with everything I've done through the 3 years of learning this area, I can kill this buck. So, like, we talk about people getting excited and going right into a new area and hoping to kill that first year. Yeah, it sometimes happens, but I'm on year 3 of this area. It takes time. You have to develop a whole area. Same goes for you, Walt. You've got an area that you've been hunting for the
Mm-hmm.
last 4 or 5 years, and you finally pulled a camera card and you have a bunch of big deer on camera, and it goes, hey, this looks like it works. So, you know, trusting the process, building a timeline, a data log over time is going to help you in the long run. Putting in the work.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know that some people don't have the ability to go scout during the week. They may not even have the ability to go scout in the weekend in the off season. They may be working just so they can hunt, the week during the season. So, for you, that individual, it may take a little bit longer of time, but you can still put a camera in a spot, let it long soak, let it tell you what it's going to do for the whole season. Come back, hunt it the next year, the week those deer are going to be rutting, and you're able to move from there.
That's what I'm doing. I could,
Yeah.
you were on the phone when I was going through that 2 year camera soak and looking at the data. And 2020, that buck right there, I hung in 2019. The camera got all the details. Went boom. There's the week they were chasing does in this area. Put in for that quota hunt in November. Shot in there, and the very first day shot that deer. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
I think all data is good data. It
Oh,
might not
yeah.
be like real time data. It might not be like I can kill him right here kind of data. But I think trail cameras are the great equalizer, and if you use them properly and do good long soaks, dude. I mean, I've never known anybody to pour themselves it. Parker, freaking last year, dude. Proof of concept. Dude starts running cameras and kills the biggest deer in Alabama he's ever killed.
Yeah. I thought he was
So,
going to get some cameras out already.
he's getting caught up. He's getting swept up in that. But his plan is in October when the bow season hits to do it then.
Yeah. He
And
did.
and
He
I
did
think that's
say
a good
that.
plan for that. Um, Jacob Booth says he's going to use a crossbow this fall so he doesn't have to miss the season. Huff says not everybody's a forester, Matt.
That's good.
Yeah, Green Man. He said this is great right here. I'm on my 3rd year on my own land and just now figuring out the deer. The hard work will pay off as well. It takes time, guys. It takes time and an open mindset. So more reason to join Patreon. If you here you go. More reason to join Patreon if you don't have time to scout. Patreon can help fill in the puzzle. Hayden's a part of our Patreon community. The dude is constantly posting questions, and I love it.
That makes me look. That makes me want to hit on something right there
Go for
because
it.
because of the Patreon community, and even okay, you don't have to join the Patreon, but if you join the Patreon, awesome, you're going to benefit from it. But if you have a group of friends, somebody in your group of friends is going to know more than you, or going to be able to scout more than you.
Hmm.
Lean on those people. Like, I'm constantly calling people to bounce ideas off of them to see, hey, what do you think about this? How does this go? And, like, yeah, I'm a forester, so I get to be in the woods. I get to be on properties that I don't get to hunt. But that doesn't mean I'm not scouting mentally to figure out what the woods are doing right now. So, like, if I'm in a certain region, the woods are doing something. Probably doing the same thing. Like, let's say I'm cruising a track of timber September 28th, and I see white oaks are dropping. What am I going to look at on October 1st? I'm going to look for white oaks dropping because the region I'm in, they're probably dropping as well. And so, learning how deer bed and how deer move. And so, we post a lot of scenarios on, hey, we came up to this bluff. There's a bed right here. I just jumped a buck out of it. You know, there's so many different things that you can learn from other people in those instances. Listening to a podcast and stuff like that, those are great learning tools. But I'm a visual learner. Like I have to see things visually a lot of times to learn what's going on. But podcasts do a good job of explaining, like y'all probably listened today. Hopefully y'all have learned something from us. But in the long run, time in the woods, time scouting, and not just any time. You had to be focused in that moment because I've gone in the woods many a times, and it's just like you were in school listening to a lecture. You're listening, but you're not there. And that goes
Mm-hmm.
the same sometimes for deer hunting. You may be deer hunting, but your mind's somewhere else. You're thinking, man, I'm supposed to be at work, or I need to be at this family function. It's a lot of different things, but in all, you're gonna have to put in work, and sometimes you get lucky and you kill a deer pretty quick. But the thing, that I find myself in a lot of times is you get into an area, you look for the sign that you want, and you don't find it, and you get discouraged. You just got to keep going. You just got to keep going and see the stuff you want to see to hunt confidently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what I would say. But Jake Booth just dumped some knowledge that makes me smile. He says Huff showed him LiDAR at Patriarch Camp and it changed a lot for me. LiDAR is an awesome feature, and if y'all didn't know, Onyx just came out with a new layer of LiDAR um, that they have on their mapping app. There's some other outfits that have it as well, but I don't even look at imagery anymore, Walt, because if I was in flatland, I'd have to look at imagery, but I'm not in flatland, so
Yeah.
that LiDAR is my go-to.
I'll be honest with you. Even in flatland, LiDAR is my go-to because it shows me roads, it shows me dim roads, it shows me old logging roads, and those deer use those dim roads, dude. Like
Yes.
it's one of those. Dude, that spot you went to the Patreon hunt 2 years ago, I've got a pin on it from like 2019. Never went in there, and then you and I get on the phone one day, and you're like, "Dude, you need to check this spot out. You need to check this spot out." And I pull up LiDAR, and I'm like, "Oh crap! Like that's a way better spot than it looks like until you pull up LiDAR.
Yeah. LiDAR gives away so much.
Too much,
Too much. But there
entirely too
still
much."
are things that LiDAR does not show.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hot feed trees.
I like that. I like that.
All
Like
right,
feed,
man.
did you
Well,
say like feed trees?
hot feed trees? Yeah, yeah. I mean, scouting at the end of the day is still required. It's not optional. You gotta you gotta get after it that way. But why don't we go ahead and
Feed
put a
trees?
pin in this? We're sitting at an hour
Sounds
and
good.
2 minutes, and frankly, I'm exhausted from being up with my son all day yesterday. So
Get some sleep, man. I gotta
yeah,
go to
man.
bath time as well, and go
Go
from
talk to your
there.
better half. Go talk to your better
Yeah.
half about letting you go to
Hey,
Kentucky this weekend.
well, I mean, real quick, let's just thank everybody for the discussion we had. I mean, y'all did a
Yeah.
great job commenting. We appreciate that. It makes our conversations a lot easier. And if we didn't get to your comment, we weren't ignoring you. We just were
Hmm.
trying to cover as much as we can and throw another one in the next segment next Thursday, and we'll try to get y'all in the mix.
Dude, it was vibing in here. We almost hit 20 people live on the podcast. And when that
Yeah.
happens and then you guys start engaging, it is very hard to keep up with everything. So,
Yeah.
but it makes for a great podcast, I think. I've been hearing more and more feedback about how much people enjoy these live podcasts because they get to interact with us or with a guest and ask questions. Last week we had Shane Simpson on, and he was a wealth of information when it came to trying to find deer. So, yeah, man, I appreciate everybody. Seriously, if you don't have that community around you, if you can't find those good deer hunters, those good outdoorsmen who want to invest in you, we've got a place for you. If you can find it locally, that's way better than what we're offering on Patreon. I guarantee it. No, I'm not trying to take away from that at all. But if you're that guy that goes to every party and you're looking for a guy in a camo hat so you have something to talk about and you're always the guy with the camo hat, we've got a place for you. I put a link on Facebook. It's going to be in the show notes. We'd love to have you over there. And so, Matthew, you are currently leading in the deer contest. I just wanted to put that out there for you.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it. We got more. We got more to do.
Well, I've got to go through and I gotta I got to go through and make sure everybody's actually paid their dues for this month, because if not, we have to avoid some of those submissions. So
I'll cover them. It's okay.
oh man, all right guys. Well, this is another episode of opening.
This is
day.
the year. This is the year, Walt.
Isn't it gonna be something? How terrible will it feel if somehow my team manages to carry me across the finish line and this just isn't your year? Because you have got such a stacked team.
Well, I don't know. Everybody's got a good team, man.
Yeah,
They do.
it's true.
I'm just saying it's my year because of the last 2 years.
Oh, okay, I got you. I was just trying to be nice. Your team kind of sucks, but yeah, for sure.
You know, we're mediocre, but you know, it's the ones that are sleeping you got to watch out for.
Chicken Buck's getting cute with his 4570 out here. Like, I'm gonna have a lever action when I go. See, when you start changing equipment like that, and a guy like Chicken Buck never changes equipment, I don't know, man. It makes you wonder if the mojo isn't with the equipment and the setup. So
I still have the same deer rifle from when I was
Little
13,
racks by 100
so.
points. Hayden says.
That's my
All right,
man.
guys. Be good, Matt. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah.